There are all these people that are out there telling you to automate everything in your engagement process. But the reality is you shouldn't do that. And the number one reason why that you shouldn't do it is that you're going to lose the human touch. In this session, I actually cover in depth lots of different ways to keep that human touch with people and make sure that at the end of the day that you've got the human in the loop to make sure that you keep your engagement as your engagement. I'm not saying don't use AI, but there's an opportunity here to optimize the way that you use AI so that it benefits you from a productivity perspective, but it doesn't make people think that a bot is going to be answering them every step of the way with an engagement with you. You want to make sure at the end of the day that you're responsive, but at the same time, you don't want to trade off responsive for not really engaging with people. Engagement typically is human to human, not human to bot. And so you want to think about ways that you can optimize that for your business. So the way that I wanted to try and tee this up is that if you think about the way that AI can respond and do different things today, there are a lot of people that whenever they look at like what AI provides, a lot of people can sense like when this is AI responding. And in some cases, it could be as obvious as you go to a website and they maybe named their bot on their website and you start to chat with it and it's pretty obvious pretty quickly that it's a bot. It's not actually a human being on the other side. The other example that I oftentimes use as well is that I use automation for a lot of different initial messages with people. And with that automation, if the person has like an emoji in front of their name, it'll include that emoji whenever it writes back. And it's pretty quickly detectable that, hey, look, this is AI writing me. It's not a human being. And I've had people respond that way and say, hey, this is obviously not you. This is something else. And my comment back is, yeah, well, I do leverage an awful lot of AI for efficiency's sake, but it's not to try and circumvent the process. I mean, I'm right here, I'm watching what's going on. At the same time, that initial response could always be, AI on my side. The other thing to mention though is that LinkedIn has really cracked down on warning people with regards to using any form of automation or AI or anything like that because they frankly don't want, people using that on their platform. I could say a lot of people do use automation on LinkedIn, but again, it's a good way to get yourself banned potentially unless you're really careful. And even whenever you're really careful, you still could get banned. So, I mean, anytime that we're using automation on our end for our clients, I typically have to give them that disclaimer that, hey, if you happen to get any warnings, we need to pay, really strong attention to those because you don't want to get banned because essentially then it cuts you out of your network that you've taken all this time to try and build on LinkedIn. But for me, it's also another reason to try and move people off of their platform as quickly as possible. So, you can initially build that connection, but once you get past that, I would move them on. And then also, a lot of people get frustrated in general by chatbots, and there's a really strong percentage of people that go this route of, hey, look, I want to get off of the chatbot and move into, human response as quickly as possible. The thing I primarily wanted to advocate for in this slide is that I think there's a real benefit to not using like full autopilot AI driven messaging with people because I think most people don't trust it anyway. There's other things with regards to bans and restrictions that could be put on you. So, with all of that in mind, if you had like an AI augmented way to respond to people, there is a really nice sweet spot that falls in here where I do think on the human side, I mean, I think it's kind of funny because people will email me during the day. And if I see the alert, that's the first thing. If I see the alert come up, I may respond, but it's only if something's needed right then and right now for something. Otherwise, it's going to wait until the end of the day because normally, whenever I first wake up, I'm sort of combing through stuff for that particular day. Email normally falls to the last thing that I'm going to handle with anybody, but it's not because I want to put people off. It's because I'm one person and have a very small team. So, and most of my team doesn't read my emails. But with the way that AI works now, I can have AI setting there, either Claude or, I'm going to show you a CRM version of this in just a minute. But you could have that deal with this and turn things around pretty quickly for people. So there's also some data from MIT that focuses in on this, as well as Harvard, that says that, hey, look, if you respond to people within 5 minutes, they're more likely to really connect with you versus if you let them wait, that level of connection and responsiveness falls off. And it kind of goes back to our immediate thoughts with regards to the fact that people should be available and able to respond to me. Whenever you have questions or whenever you want an answer, most of us want those answers pretty quickly. And in a lot of cases, there's an opportunity for us, to feed some of this back to an AI that can help you with this as well. And so I do think there's a real way to get to this. And the interesting thing, I don't know, how much either of you deal with like Instagram or Facebook, but Instagram or Facebook have a lot of these sort of response bots built in. And the CRM that we use has that capability as well. And it's funny because I use one where if you see a post of mine on Instagram and you respond with the word secret, I think that's the one that comes back, and it'll respond back with two options for you. One, to attend the best kept secret workshops, or the second response is if you want a free prompt, you just click this other button and it'll send you a free prompt. But that's all 100% automated. But there's AI setting in the middle evaluating, is this a message where the person actually is responding just with the keyword, or are they saying something else that needs to be responded to by a human? So it could redirect that message if it needs a human response, but it's just based on, just some very simple logic that says, hey, look, redirect the message this way. If the person is, let's say they included the word secret in their message, but they didn't mean it, the same way that I was intending for somebody to submit a keyword. And it's kind of what I'm saying here is that you have this upfront trigger where somebody sends you an SMS or maybe they send you an email, and that essentially gets the initial part done. Then you have AI setting here, and it's evaluating what was that message that was sent. Is this message something that Michael needs to deal with, or is this something that's spam that, essentially it should fall in some other category? If it's something that, you need to respond to, the way I've constructed the next part that I'm going to show you is that there's a portion where AI has fully written the response to go to that person, but it's just not sending it. It'll sit there and wait at that point till I click on send myself, until I, say, yes, this is something that I want to send. And the basic version that I have to show, you'll see that it more or less stops at a notification for me. But at that point, the person still doesn't have a response, right? There could be one step that's in between here where it's like, in between, it could say, hey, Michael's currently busy in an engagement. This is AI, but Michael reviews 100% of these. He'll respond back to you in 24, 48 hours, whatever the time frame is. If it is something urgent, here's how to get back in touch with him so that he knows, you need something right now. Whenever I said earlier, we can divide out messages. So this is the CRM that we use. It's white labeled connector. Essentially, we use GoHighLevel. And the way that we sort of divided this up for this client is they have different sort of engagement signals that are sent in to the CRM, where it's like, hey, look, they created an account, a trial started with this person, a trial ended with this person, a subscription started or ended with this person. And every part along the way, we could tag those people. And then in addition to that, you could have down here, you could have AI responding each time as well. But right now, we just have internal notifications, like manual notifications being sent out. But to come back to the primary thing that we've been talking about today is, in this case, The example that I've built for this session is to focus much more on, let's say the person was a brand new person. You've never talked to them before, and for some reason you've gotten a new inbound email from that person. Again, this could be somebody with the next opportunity that you have for your business, or it could be a newsletter and you don't know which way this could go. And so you have to first evaluate it, right? So first thing that we have here is a step to add them to the CRM. So we're adding or updating this particular contact because maybe this person for some reason has, already been in our CRM. And whenever that happens, we don't want to continue sending them messages if it's not a brand new email, right? So we want a new contact, new email for that particular individual. In this step, though, to show you kind of how the prompt plays out, try and show the whole thing here. So if I sort of step through the prompt here, you're an inbound triage assistant for Don Davis, the founder of D3 Digital Media. I focus in on B2B growth operations, and I also host the Life Science Success podcast, so it included that in the prompt. Read the email below and classify it into one of three categories. It's going to add a tag for somebody who could be, need a reply, somebody that falls into my ideal client profile, needing a response. That would be one. Also could be spam. So it could be a cold email, and I get a fair amount of those where essentially it's somebody pitching a lead generation service or something else that I wouldn't necessarily want, or anything else that's not a cold email, an existing contact or ongoing thread, right? So it's going to apply that sort of thinking to this, and then it's going to read the body of the email down here at the very bottom. So that's kind of the first step in this. Then what we would add here in this section, this goes back to that branching that you saw a second ago. So it could be, remember the past categories, right? If it's spam, I essentially, just want it marked with that tag for spam. And so I'd have to have a spam area. I'd have to have a reply area, and then I'm going to have none. So those will be the three sort of branches that I'd have to create over here. They're not created yet, but that's essentially the way I would do it. And then based on that, then I'm going to send a response. That response is going to come from the system, the CRM system that we're using. And it's going to tell me who the email is from. So I'll have their name inside of the subject line. And then down here, it's actually going to write that message body right here in the response. So whenever ChatGPT writes its response back, it would paste that in here. Then that way, all I have to do late in the day whenever I'm responding to emails is go through these messages and then copy and paste the responses back. I have a very similar to this that runs for me already. This is something that I run, inside of my CRM today. But I wanted to, I thought this would be something valuable for people to see how something like this could be wired up for, any other business as well.
Hey, if you're liking this content, please do me a favor and click that like button for me. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel. And lastly, below this video, you will find a link to my free Skool Community where I place all of the assets for all of the videos that I create. So please do those three things for me. Click like, click subscribe, and make sure that you join us in the free Skool Community because I have lots of resources over there that I frequently do not post on YouTube. So please do me a favor and join us in Skool, and we will make sure that you get all of the assets plus all of the bonuses that I add to every single video, PDFs, GPTs, all of those sorts of things.